Hello and good morning. You're watching Market Cafe on ET Now with me, Snehisha, and with me is Vinny Motiwala. Vinny, wishing you a very good morning. Monday morning, so well, we
good
can't
morning
say
and
it's
a
good morning.
Happy morning at least we are hoping for, right, from the markets
Well,
as
we
well.
can hope for it, and this is a show where we're going to take you through all the important stories that were taking place globally over the course of the weekend and last night while we were fast asleep. And in the second half of the show, we'll delve into more domestic data and take a look at the stocks that could be potential buzzers in today's trading session, as well as what brokerages are flagging off for us bright and early this morning. So with that, Vinny, let's kickstart the show and take us through what the US handover looks like. And while Friday moves rather bleak coming in from the US, Nasdaq 1% down. So take us what's happening.
Some bleak moves like you mentioned, right? What we saw coming in from the US markets as well. As of now, yes, Nasdaq actually closed Friday's trading session down almost 1%. We did see S&P 500 and Dow Jones also close down 0.5% as well. And S&P 500, this is the second week of losing streak that we saw for S&P 500 as well. So yes, markets have been quite subdued. Nothing in terms of an excitement that has come in this week in the US market. What we'll be watching out for is going to be the Feds meeting as well. Everyone's keeping an eye out on that one in terms of, getting a direction in terms from the Fed also will give a direction to the markets as well. Where that is headed is surely a key to watch out for, especially for big traders is what everyone is watching out for. When you look at the US stock futures Sunday evening, so yesterday evening, what we saw was a bit of a little change that we saw even in terms of the futures, US futures that we saw. Nothing exciting there as well. And obviously what we're keeping an eye out on is Nvidia Corp's new developer conference also. That is something that one should keep an eye out on as well. But overall, what we saw from the US markets, the handover was not anything exciting that came in terms of the US market handover. Now, European markets, obviously, they do close before the US markets as well. But European markets also was quite a bit of a subduedness that we saw. European markets actually closed lower on the concerns of that inflation jitters that are going around as well. So yes, keeping an eye out on that. So whether you look at DAX, FTSE, all of them closed almost muted. CSE managed to close on the green side, slight bit of a positive, very, very mild positive that we saw coming in there. But yes, that's how the handover came in from the global markets. Nothing exciting. As of now, the Nifty implied is indicating a decline. That's the futures. It's indicating a decline of 0.3%, while GIFT Nifty is indicating slight bit of a muted start for the Indian markets as well. See, that's what you're keeping an eye out on. We surely have to pick out a side because every time that the markets open, maybe they were open in the green and they again end in the red. And, that volatility or that subduedness has been continuing. So that's something that is key to watch out for even for our markets now.
Actually, early in the morning, market opens, people are optimistic about where the market
you just
is
hope
going.
for it.
And in the middle of the day, the market is down out of nowhere. So, well, we can
the
hope
second
for
half
one.
of the day is sluggish for the markets as well.
And on an everyday basis, this has been happening. So,
yeah.
well, we can hope for at least one steady and volatility-free session today. But with that, let's also talk about what's happening in the world of oil and crude. And crude oil futures fell slightly on Friday, but gained for the week after rising in the two previous sessions. Now, the WTI contract for April fell by 22 cents to settle at $81 per barrel. Brent contract for May lost 8 cents to settle at almost $85.4 a barrel. The US crude and the global benchmark were up more than 3.5% week to date. OPEC and the International Energy Agency are now both expecting a tight crude market this year as well. Now, the IEA has revised its outlook for 2024, projecting a slight supply deficit rather than a surplus. So that's a surprising news that came in over the course of the weekend. And the Paris-based agency's forecast is now more in line with OPEC's projections. Remember earlier there was quite some deviation between OPEC and IEA's projections, with IEA's projections surpassing OPEC's by quite a lot. And attacks by Ukraine this week on Russian oil refineries also emphasize the risk that war in Eastern Europe poses to crude production and fuel supplies. So, well, we'll take a look at what's happening on the macroeconomic front, the geopolitical front, and then obviously all of those will have their implications on oil as well. But well, yes, and that's what's happening in the world of oil and crude, Vinny. But take us through the events to watch this week and the big FOMC rate decision coming up.
Absolutely. Everyone's going to be keeping an eye out on that FOMC rate decision. What commentary we've spoken about this. That commentaries actually that are coming in are saying that don't rush into it. So maybe so it may not come in this time as well. It may not come in this March decision, but that's something to watch out for. You may see any surprise move coming in. Then that's going to be a bit of a directional for the markets as well, like I was mentioning before. So yes, keeping an eye out on the FOMC and Feds policy meet. We do have other central banks meeting this week as well. So BOJ, BOE, those meetings are also going to be happening. A lot of central bank events happening across the globe. Let's keep an eye out on that. Now, other than that, obviously, we do have China's industrial production data that will be coming out. Keeping an eye out on that. In the US, we have the initial jobless claims. That's a key factor to watch out for as well. And other than that, in terms of let's just talk about some of the important corporate actions that one should watch out for. Especially, I'm going to highlight a bit about today as well. So, corporate actions that we should watch out for. Raman Steel Tubes is to trade at X bonus in the ratio of 2:1. That's going to be happening today. L&T Finance will be mulling a fundraising plan today as well, keeping an eye on that. Last day to buy Oil India shares if you want to be eligible for interim dividend. So yes, for all those shareholders who want to be eligible for interim dividend for Oil India, today is the last chance. Let's move on to the IPO side. We do have Krystal Integrated Services that will be closing the IPO today as well, keeping an eye out on that. We do have listings that will be happening this week as well. So yes, keeping an eye out on that. Popular Vehicles as well as Krystal, which will be listing at the end of the week as well in the next couple of days. So yes, that's important to watch out for. Lock-in periods for these lot of companies who have listed recently will be ending as well. India Shelter Finance, Domes, Inox India, Entero Healthcare, Vibhor Steel, lock-in period ends for these as well. So yes, important to watch out for that front. As well as in terms of we do have the NCLAT who will be hearing the case against the Zee-Sony merger. So let's keep an eye out on that and any update that comes in on that front today as well. Important events on that terms.
Well, absolutely. With that, let's take a look at all the important global stories that we've been tracking for you. And let's kickstart our coverage this morning with the US. Now, consumers were seen becoming slightly less optimistic about the economy, even as they expect inflation to cool off further. The Consumer Sentiment Index slipped to 76.5 in March, barely below February's figure of 76.9. Sentiment is now about halfway between its all-time low, reached in June 2022 when inflation peaked, and its pre-pandemic averages. Meanwhile, industrial production too increased more than expected amid mild temperatures. Manufacturing output rebounded 0.8% last month after a downwardly revised 1.1% decline in the prior month.
And all eyes will be on the central bank, the Federal Reserve kickstarting the week, and the US Central Bank presented with the complex landscape as it navigates the balancing act of managing inflationary pressures while also supporting economic growth. Now, the Fed may refrain from significantly changing the dot plot during the March meeting, but market expectation for a rate cut in 2024 aligning with 75 basis points, which is projected in December, indicating that it could be a notable shift from earlier expectations of an aggressive easing that one was expecting. Also on Thursday, we do have UK inflation numbers for February that will influence in terms of the buyer's demand for pound, as well as sticky inflation figures could actually signal higher for longer Bank of England rate path as well. Also, we have Bank of Japan that is expected to end the negative interest rate at its monetary policy meeting this week, and in what one could expect, or what one could see, would be the first hike in 17 years and a major departure from years of unorthodox monetary easing.
Well, and shifting focus to Russia, where President Vladimir Putin has claimed a landslide victory in the presidential vote amid thousands protesting against his deepening dictatorship. According to exit polls, in a vote denounced by the United States as obviously not free nor fair, Putin won 87% of the vote. Not just that, in a speech at his campaign headquarters over the weekend, he brushed off Western criticism of the elections, telling his supporters it was expected.
An update on the EV giant Tesla that hikes prices of its Model Y variant starting April. Move comes amid efforts to push customers to place their orders before the quarter ends, and the base Model Y currently starts at $43,990. However, from April, the base variant of the best-selling vehicle will start at $44,990.
Alright viewers, with that it's time to slip into a short break on this edition of Market Cafe. But when we return, we'll take a look at how the Asian markets have opened up this morning, so you stay tuned. Hello and welcome. You're still watching Market Cafe with me on ET Now. Now let's take a look at how the Asian markets have opened up this morning. And Japan's Nikkei index led gains in Asia Pacific markets this morning ahead of a week full of central bank meetings, while investors awaited a slew of economic data from China. Now in Asia, the Reserve Bank of Australia is expected to keep its cash rate steady at 4.35% when it concludes its meeting on Tuesday. On the back of that, let's take a look at what ASX 200 is doing. And yeah, we have ASX 200 on the screen and rather flat, not much happening when it comes to that index, just a 5-point downtick coming in on the ASX 200. We'll see how that index pans out over the course of the day. But in contrast, a Reuters poll is expecting the Bank of Japan to exit its negative interest rate policy and lift its benchmark rate to 0% from 0.1% when it makes its announcement on Tuesday. This is what we told you earlier in the show as well. On the back of that, Nikkei is up a solid 2.2%. The markets opened up with a 2% gain and still continues to build onto those gains. 854 points uptick coming in. So big moves coming in on Nikkei this morning as well. Let's shift focus, talk about what's happening in South Korea. And South Korea's Kospi was 0.3% higher after recording an almost 2% loss on Friday, and well, a 0.5% uptick coming in on that index also. So Kospi also continuing to manage to hold on to the green and in fact build on to the gains. Lastly, let's take a look at what's happening in China, because China is set to release a slew of economic data today, including its February retail sales, industrial output and urban employment numbers. So on the back of that, Hang Seng is down almost 0.5%, 76 points downtick coming in for Hang Seng. On the other hand, Shanghai looks well, holding up 0.2% in the green. So that's the global roundup for you. That's the Asian roundup for you, pardon me, this morning. And let's just focus back home, talk about what's happening with a Nifty. On Friday, we managed to just close above that 22,000 mark, 22,120 on the futures, and implied open at 22,060. So rather tempered start for us, Winnie. Let's see how that pans out for us.
Okay, surely keeping an eye out on that. A bit of a subduedness is what one could expect in today's trading session as well.
Hi there, welcome back and thanks so much for staying tuned to Market Cafe. Now, Coforge is a stock that's going to be in focus today because that has announced a fundraising plan of 3,200 crore rupees via QIP, aiming to reduce debt and target potentials. Now, Somit, my colleague, is joining in with all of those details. Somit, good morning. Take it away.
Well, Coforge is one stock that would remain in focus because the board has approved a fundraise of close to 3,200 crore rupees via QIP. Now, how big is this fundraise? It's nearly 8.5% of the current market capitalization of the company, while it is nearly 7 times the current cash balance of Coforge on books. Now, why the company might be potentially doing this fundraise? However, the company has not said anything, but what we assume is this could be to reduce or fully pay off the company's debt on books, or could also be for a potential merger or acquisition target that the company might be looking to. Now, if you see the cash and debt balance of the company, the cash at the end of Q3 stood at close to 472 crore rupees, while the debt on the books was close to 973 crore, which means that the net debt on books was close to 501 crore rupees. Now, post this fundraise of 3,200 crore rupees, this would change to a net cash position for the company at close to 2,700 crore rupees. And if we assume that the company generates nearly 400 crore rupees of cash on an organic basis in the fourth quarter, then the net cash balance at the end of the FY24 would be close to 3,100 crore rupees, and this could be potentially used by the company for an M&A going forward. However, we do not have any clarification or commentary coming in from the company on the same, but earlier the company had said that they had given a roadmap for $200 billion revenue, in which they had said that in around 150 million could be coming in from the inorganic acquisitions that they were planning. Now, what could these be? These acquisitions could be. Now, earlier the management had clearly stated that they look to expand in retail and consumer packaged goods, healthcare and public sector companies involved in public sector business outside India. They are also looking for target areas like cloud-based ERP, security or data analytics. So these could be the potential acquisition targets for Coforge going forward. Now, in the past, the company has done 2 acquisitions in the last 5 years. In FY20, they acquired Wishworks for around $41.2 million US, and in FY22, they acquired SLK Global, in which they took around 60% stake for around $122.4 million US.
Okay, so Amit, that's about Coforge, but do stay on with us and talk to us about Gujarat Gas as well. Why are we keeping an eye out on this one? What are the steps that they are taking to boost those volumes in the Morbi region? Anything specific that happened over the weekend?
Well, for Gujarat Gas, if you see, they are stepping up efforts to boost volumes in the Morbi region. Now, they have invited expression of interest from various customers in the Morbi region. Now, customers shall be required to state the quantity of natural gas required and for the duration of time. And Gujarat Gas will be providing the relevant information like the pricing of the natural gas. Also, they will be given the tenure of the contract as per them. Now, Morbi is one of the largest ceramic production cluster in the world. It accounts for nearly 90% of India's ceramic products market share. So, it's a big market for Gujarat Gas, and Morbi contributes nearly 40% of the total volumes for Gujarat Gas. And Morbi volumes, if you see, of late have been continuously declining owing to the higher gas prices. From its peak of around peak that we had seen in the fourth quarter of FY21, volumes are now down nearly 49%, and Morbi's total volume potential stands at around 8.5 MMSCMD, but Gujarat Gas at the current moment is doing volumes of just 5 MMSCMD, and this expression of interest could help the company boost that going forward. Now, this expression of interest will help to tie up gas based on the customer's demand, which means that the company does not need to secure or source extra gas from the global market. Apart from this will also help the company moving from the small 1 to 3 months contract that they have been currently doing to potential longer term contracts for 1 year or 2 years, say. Now, this will also help the company improve their volumes to around 7 MMSCMD from the 5 MMSCMD that they are currently doing, and this 5 MMSCMD is also post a price cut that they have been doing. Before that, the volumes are much lower at close to 3.5 side, and this expression of interest will also remove any price uncertainty or overhang that has been there for the customers. So it's a win-win for both, for Gujarat Gas, because this will help them secure more volumes from one of the key clusters, that is the Morbi region, for them.
Alright, Swami, thanks so much for taking us through that. Gujarat Gas is going to be another stock that will be in focus today, but let's get a move on there. And then market watchdog SEBI has gone ahead and okayed a slew of measures to improve ease of business for market participants. Let's take a look at the key takeaways from that important board meet that happened, and Anurag Shah is joining us with all the highlights of that meeting. Anurag, good morning. Take it away.
SEBI board has taken series of measures mainly focusing on ease of doing business. T+0 settlement, that is same day settlement, got board approval. Starting with 25 script, there will be a review after 3 months and 6 months of implementation. For companies coming up with IPO to comply on 20% minimum promoter contribution, relaxation has been given. So now with conversion of shares also, 20% minimum promoter contribution limit can be achieved. Additional disclosure norms, relaxation has been given to FPIs also to give additional disclosures. So in August 2023, disclosure norms were made very strict for FPIs, but now FPIs who are not part of single promoter entity, there has been a relaxation given by SEBI for additional disclosures. To fill the key managerial post, timeline has been extended from 3 months to 6 months to give intimation of board meeting. So now 2 days period has been decided by SEBI to give intimation of SEBI board meeting. Few rules also changed related to the compliance, related to the on the basis of market capitalization. So some relaxation has been given there also. For liquidation of AIFs, SEBI has given relaxation. So series of measures taken by SEBI in board meeting, mainly focusing on ease of doing business.
Thank you so much for that, Anurag. But let's move on. And setting the stage for a 2-month-long electoral battle, the Election Commission has announced Lok Sabha election scheduled from April 19th and will be held in 7 phases. The results will be declared on the 4th of June. The general elections will be held in 7 phases through the months of April, May. And 4 states, Arunachal Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh and Odisha and Sikkim, will also be holding simultaneously assembly elections. Prime Minister Narendra Modi-led NDA government is hoping to clinch a rare third term, while the opposition, loosely stringed under the INDIA bloc, are hopeful of making a dent in the NDA scorecard. The Model Code of Conduct, which bars the government in power from announcing any new policy decisions, has come into effect now. And with that, let's hear out a slice from the Chief Election Commissioner's press conference and what more was said there.
1.82 करोड़ फर्स्ट टाइम वोटर्स इस बार इन चुनावों में वोट देने के लिए हमारे इलेक्टोरल रोल्स में हैं। और अगर इसको हम 20 से 29 साल के वर्ष में देखें, वो भी तो यंग ही हैं, कोई अभी बड़े तो हुए नहीं हैं, तो 18 से जो 29 हैं वो करीब 21.5 लाख वोटर हैं। 1.80 करोड़ 18 से 19 और 20 से 29 में 19.74 करोड़, यानी 21.5 करोड़ वोटर्स एब्सोल्युटली यंग। 82 लाख लोग ऐसे हैं जो 85 वर्ष से ऊपर हैं और वो हमारे प्राउड मतदाता हैं। वी फील वेरी प्राउड टू हैव देम विद अस। और उसमें से 2,18,000 लोग देश में 100 वर्ष से अधिक के मतदाता भी हैं जो हमारे इलेक्टोरल रोल में 1.89 नए वोटर्स हमने जुड़े हैं। उनमें से 18 से 19 में 85 लाख हमारी लड़कियां हैं, फीमेल वोटर्स हैं। पिछले 1-1.25 साल के अंदर में 11 इलेक्शंस स्टेट असेंबलीज के देश में हुए हैं। और आज जो हम नए जो 2024 में जा रहे हैं तो इस दृढ़ता के साथ जा रहे हैं कि जो उनके आउटकम्स हैं वो आपको दिखा रहे हैं। पहले वो पीसफुल हुए, वायलेंस फ्री हुए। जो इसमें से 1-2 स्टेट में वायलेंस होती थी वहां भी वायलेंस नहीं हुई। नियर जीरो रूपोल्स और कैंपेनिंग जो क्लटर है, जो नॉइज है, जो कैंपेन के दौरान होती है पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज की, उसमें भी घटित देखने को मिली। कोर्ट केसेस रिड्यूस हुए, कोर्ट की टिप्पणियां जो अनावश्यक या हमारे ऊपर में होती थी वो कम हुई। सीजर्स बढ़े और फेक न्यूज़ पर एक एक्शन लेने का जो तरीका था वो बहुत बढ़ा।
All right, let's also go across to my colleague Sumit Chaturvedi for a roundup on the Election Commission's announcement as well.
The biggest festival of democracy is starting on 19th of April when India is going to polls. In 7 phases, 543 constituencies will be covered. The results season and the results day and the counting day will be June 4th. So it's going to be exercise spread over around 50 days. This time, the overall voters are around 98 crores, out of which 1.8 crore are the first-time voter. Youth population that is going to vote, that's eligible to vote this time, is around 21 crore from age of 18 to age of 29. So it's a massive exercise spread over, we can say that 3 months, last of April, full May and the beginning of June. So government is going to be formed after that. Election Commission of India is taking no stone unturned to ensure that there is check on the spread of fake news, on misuse of technology. Also, it has also requested political parties to be not abusive in their discourse. And as we speak today, the code of conduct has kicked in as well.
Thank you so much for that, Sumit. But with that and all those election updates coming in, let's just slip into a short break. Because after the break, we'll take you all through which are the stocks to watch out for in trade and how should you all prepare yourself for the day today. Welcome back. You're watching Market Cafe on ET Now. Let's just focus and talk about the consumer sector. We're going to have a lot of stocks in the consumption space which are going to be in focus today. So some of them are going to be today that we're going to talk about. United Breweries, the QSR space, Tata Consumer, Varun Beverages. All these are going to be in focus with Sapphire Foods, Devyani International. Why is that so? UBS has actually initiated coverage on all these stocks. Mainly they believe overall premiumization, indulgence, that's something that has been defining and redefining the Indian food and beverage consumption sector, especially in the Indian food and beverage segment. They are identifying a lot of high growth opportunities that could work out for them beyond the FMCG sector as well, just not the FMCG companies, other than that also companies that could benefit as well. So what they're doing is, obviously they believe UBL is going to be one of these companies that is going to be benefiting, initiating coverage on this one. Target price of 2,000 rupees per share, given that this premiumization trend, modernization trend, as well as favorable policy that is driving the beer demand is something that will work out well for UBL. So United Breweries is what one is keeping an eye out on. Other than that, we have them initiating coverage on Devyani International as well as Sapphire Food. They believe overall the QSR space is something that could work out well. They expect strong growth for these companies as well. We've seen good growth in the last decade. They expect that to continue as well given the recent consumption trends. And other than that, they also do like Tata Consumers as well as Varun Beverages. They're initiating coverage there with a neutral rating. They believe Tata Consumers continues to is consistent in terms of the legacy, in terms of for the major Tata companies, whether you see Tata Tea, Tata Sea, Tetley. This will be something that will be a good growth that has already been going on for the company, as well as in terms of the newer businesses like Nadeshko, Sampan. That will be also a growth driver for the company going forward as well. And obviously, Varun Beverages, near monopoly in terms of the bottling for PepsiCo is something that continues to be favorable. So neutral rating given for both these stocks from UBS.
Well, absolutely. So the FMCG space and the consumer space will be in focus today. Let's get a move on then, and let's talk about autos, because the government has announced a new EV policy designed to promote India as a manufacturing hub for electric vehicles. Now, the policy states that companies will need to make a minimum investment of 4,150 crore rupees. You will have shares, you will have stocks like Sona BMW, Sansera Engineering, Motherson that will all be affected on the back of this news flow. So let's take a look at what some of the brokerages houses are seeing on this news flow, and my colleague Ashesha is here joining us with all the details on that. Good morning.
A slew of brokerage reports have come in this morning on the EV policy that was announced by the government on Friday afternoon. And first up, we have Nomura, which says that it is positive for suppliers, and we are not expecting any kind of impact on Indian OEMs. They also believe suppliers such as Sona, BMW, Sansera Engineering, and Motherson Sumi could benefit as a result of this EV policy, and it is unlikely to impact Indian OEMs such as Tata Motors and M&M, as they operate at much lower price points. Meanwhile, Macquarie has also come out with a report where they believe that the policy is aimed to boost domestic electric vehicle manufacturing. It does not alter Tata Motors' near-term 12 to 18-month outlook, and for M&M also price band of the EV launch will be crucial this time around. Kotak meanwhile believes that there is no impact on domestic passenger vehicle market. Competitive intensity, however, is likely to intensify as a result of the policy. Investec also believes that India-based auto ancillaries will be the biggest beneficiary of the electric vehicle policy that was announced. Tata Motors enjoyed the first mover advantage, but it needs to now buckle up as competition is likely to intensify going forward. So all in all, it is likely to be beneficial for suppliers, the likes of Sansera Engineering, Sona, BMW, but sentimentally negative for existing players like Tata Motors and M&M.
All right, Ashesha, thanks so much for taking us through that. Let's talk about two stocks that UBS has gone ahead and initiated its coverage on, and they happen to be Trent as well as Page Industries. Now, for Trent, they've initiated a neutral stance, target at 4,400 rupees. They believe that Westside and Zudio will be the key growth drivers for Trent going ahead. They say that Westside is a play on growing fashion aspirations, and Zudio is poised to tap demand in a value apparel market as well. So on the back of that, they've gone ahead and initiated a neutral stance for Trent, target at 4,400 rupees per share. But coming to Page Industries, it's an interesting note coming in from UBS for this, because they've gone ahead, initiated a buy rating for the stock with a target price of 44,000 rupees, which is close to 10,000 rupees higher than Page Industries' current market price as well. They say that strong distribution and brand recall will be driving growth, and other takeaways from the note is that they expect double-digit revenue growth in the medium term, driven by 5 factors, all of them being strong distribution network, strong brand recall, their in-house production, back-end capabilities, strict working capital management. So that is something that UBS is liking when it comes to Page Industries, and a strong balance sheet. They do not see any major downside risk from the current level as well from where the stock is. So a positive note coming in for Page Industries from UBS. They also believe that the margins will reach pre-pandemic levels once again. So, well, UBS quite bullish when it comes to Page Industries. Initiated a buy rating with a target of 44,000 rupees per share.
Okay, surely keeping an eye on those two stocks, but seeing a lot of other stocks that have been in focus and one should keep an eye out on over the weekend. We have a lot of announcements. Let's first talk about Hindustan Aeronautics, or HAL. Why is that one going to be in focus today? What has happened is the Ministry of Defence has signed a contract with mid-life upgrade of 25 aircrafts alongside with associated equipments for the Indian Navy. The cost is going to be around 2,890 crores. So on the back of that, we're surely keeping an eye out on HAL. Other than that, let's put focus also on RVNL, because RVNL has received a letter of acceptance from the Maharashtra Metro Rail Corporation Limited for design and construction of elevated viaduct between PCMC and NIGDI, and the contract side is going to be around 33 339 crore rupees. So that's also in focus. SJVN2 in focus. They've signed a letter of intent for a solar project as well. Continuing that in focus as well. The tentative cost for that is around 1,100 crores. Other than that, we have 5 Paisa Digital, a smaller stock that's in focus, as MCX and NSE have imposed restrictions on the company for onboarding new clients across all segments. This is with effect from 14th of March. So keeping an eye out of 5 Paisa Digital. I would like to highlight one more stock, that is going to be KSB, because that's also in focus. The company has received a letter of award of around 63 crores. It's a smaller order, but that's because the contract for this contract, it's going to be around 2,500 solar water pumping systems that's under the MP Kusum 3 scheme as well. So keeping an eye out on KSB as well.
All right, with that, let's also take a look at what other brokerages are flagging off for us this morning. We did see a note coming in from UBS for Page as well as Trent, but moving on then, let's take a look at Kotak Securities' note this morning, and they're flagging off auto ancillaries. They say that the silver lining is visible in stocks. There's a risk of reward which is favorable for select companies, and steady demand trends in the domestic two-wheeler market is also what they're noting, and the EV shift and premiumization trend will continue to drive growth, and capex plans are on track to support new order wins as well. So this is what Kotak believes when it comes to the entire auto ancillaries stock basket in the market. Moving on, let's take a look at Morgan Stanley. They're flagging off HAL for us in the morning, and they're saying that they've maintained an overweight rating, target at 3,636 rupees per share. The share price is likely to rise relative to the country index. Short-term valuation is much more compelling. Order prospect base has also become bigger, and they're seeing better visibility when it comes to HAL's performance going ahead. So, well, that is Morgan Stanley on HAL. Moving on, Morgan Stanley is also talking about another company this morning, and that is IOCL. They've maintained an overweight rating, target at 191 rupees per share. They believe that will rise over the next 60 days, and fuel price cut at lower end of the expectations, lesser than expected cuts is what they're saying. This is also removing key overhangs when it comes to the stock. They're also seeing the earnings upcycle being driven by integrated margins when it comes to IOCL. Yet another company that is in Morgan Stanley's focus, yet another stock, is Reliance Industries. They've maintained an overweight rating with a target of 3,046 rupees per share. They believe that the share price will rise in absolute terms over the next 60 days as well. Chemical margins are showing signs of improvement, and the net debt has declined for the first time in 18 months, and cheaper global ethane prices should also add an upside to this stock. So, well, yes, these are all the stocks that brokerages are flagging off for us this Monday morning.
Okay, that's what brokerages are keeping an eye out on. But top market voices are talking to us and spoke to us last week in terms of the meltdown in the market. What should one expect in terms of investment mantra? How should they be careful? How should they ride the current volatility that you're seeing? And we had spoken to Sameer Arora, Prateek Agarwal, as well as Puran Jubelia. Listen to what they had to say.
The outperformance is unrealistic and not in line with any form of history. Provided the cycle is over. If you see in the middle of the cycles, it would have been similar outperformance in previous phases also. So it's basically a not an avoid, but a very, very over scrutinized thing now to buy a small cap.
For people who were hoping for a correction to happen, this is godsend. The growth of the country stays strong, the reform momentum stays strong. Globally, every market is good. Our own large cap part is good. So it is the smaller mids and smalls which are having trouble in the marketplace. So I think wherever one has confidence, this is godsend opportunity to accumulate.
This is not going to be 2018 repeat. I'm telling you all the positives. Those who want about or caution about the small cap investing or the growth in the small mid caps, they have also been talking about a structural change happening in India, the massive scale up of economy and its growth. So all those positives are definitely there, and earnings growth is much bigger than the the prior period of 2018. So we have all the reasons to be remaining bullish, but this was very much required for a healthy kind of stock market functioning.
Alright, well, let's take a look at the other important news and updates that have been happening outside the world of the stock market. And a state of emergency has been declared in southern Iceland after a volcanic eruption, the 4th since December last year. This is now the 7th eruption since 2021, and scientists believe the area is entering a new volcanic era that could last for decades or even centuries. Well, and the Supreme Court today is likely to hear the SBI's version following the release of details of the bond purchasers and the political parties that encashed these bonds. Earlier, the Supreme Court had come down heavily on the State Bank of India for not sharing the complete data on electoral bonds. And with just weeks left for the crucial Lok Sabha elections, the BJP has intensified its southern outreach. PM Modi is spearheading the party's campaigns in Kerala, Telangana and Tamil Nadu. In Andhra Pradesh, PM Modi addressed the first NDA rally with TDP's Chandraprabhu Naidu, Janasena Chief Pawan Kalyan as well.
And in a double whammy for Delhi CM Arvind Kejriwal, the AAP Supremo has been summoned by the ED over an alleged Delhi Jal board scam, and the probe agencies has also sent 9th summon to Kejriwal in a liquor policy case. The Delhi CM has skipped all summons so far. And after 16 years of hurt and disappointment, the Royal Challengers Bangalore have lifted their cup and ended their trophy drought. The Smriti Mandhana-led team clinched the first ever Women's Premier League win, triumphing over Delhi Capitals by 8 wickets. Soon after the match, Virat Kohli congratulated Mandhana and her team via a video call before RCB lifted the trophy at the Arun Jaitley Stadium. Now all eyes will be on another power-packed season of IPL, which is set to begin from March 22nd.
Alright viewers, with that it's time to bid you goodbye on this edition of Market Cafe. But while Winnie and I do that, you stay tuned to the channel because the market takes all of the action ahead.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.